episode 5, Rick.
Woo!
We're almost there. Almost there.
Yeah.
That was the second to last episode of Loki. We've watched it. Just come off watching it. What did you think, Rick? As I always ask every week, what did you think generally of this episode? Just in general terms.
Overall, it was a decent episode.
It was a decent
It was
episode.
full of really fun stuff in this. A lot of cool Easter eggs, which obviously we'll talk about as well, which picked up as well. Great performance by Richard E. Grant. I reckon that was great as his little thing. But overall, a decent performance. Loved it. Loved it. Good episode.
Yeah. I think it was the most visually interesting episode because, like you said, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there and a lot of references to a lot of comic book stuff throughout the episode. But just from a storytelling perspective, it was fairly simple, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't boring. It felt very different, even though it felt very familiar. It's a hard thing to kind of explain, but I did love it. I think you're absolutely right about Richard E. Grant, who steals this episode and absolutely is fantastic as future Loki. But everybody was. The kid, the guy that played the young kid Loki was great. Look, I'll even give props to the performance of the alligator Loki in this.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. But I mean, look, it's great. We're really getting to the meat of the bones of this show. I mean, I cannot wait for next week, without getting to that straight away. But the way this episode finishes really hooks me in for that final episode next week. I think I rubbed up against the Loki Sylvie scene, which we'll get to a little bit later. I just wasn't a big fan of that. But yeah, man, solid stuff. And it pretty well starts off as they have in the last few weeks, exactly where we ended up, and that's Loki facing off against other Lokis. We get introduced to Kid Loki, the alligator. Who was the other Loki, the one that portrays him? I remember his name, but I remember Future Loki as well.
Future Loki, and then there was Child Loki, and
there was like a barbarian Loki.
Yeah.
A little bit different, But that's where he's facing off, and Sylvie is still in the same room where
the judge,
as she exposed the fact that the timekeepers in the last episode were indeed fake, which was kind of huge. So we're really full barreling along here. And that scene with Sylvie and the judge, they're trying to make a deal to work together, to try to, because everything is turned upside down at this point, isn't it? I mean, even the judge is looking at these, from the audience. I mean, we think the judge is seeing this and going, "Oh my God, my whole world is turned upside down." So it's definitely, they're out of instinct. All right, we're going to make a deal. We're going to find out who's really kind of behind this. And then we cut back to Loki and his crew walking around. And this is, when you talk about Easter eggs, Rick, this scene has a ton of them.
There's a ton of Easter eggs.
Yeah, well, one of my favorites, Rick, is the Thanos copter.
Oh, Thanos copter, yeah.
Which I love. Do you have any more down there? Did you?
There was Frog 4. So
yes.
There's a scene when they scroll down, you see a little frog Thor. We actually see what else did we see? I did write some notes. Hang on, bear with me, guys.
You're saying the thing in the jar, aren't you?
In the jar, yeah. That's
Frog
that's
Thor,
Frog 4.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. What else did we? Yellow Jacket's helmet we saw in there as well. There was just so many, and these are references that were in the comics as well. So
yeah,
so good,
it's pretty great. But we kind of in this as we kind of go along, we start to discover some of these other Lokis. We're starting to get a little bit of a backdrop of kind of who they are, And I love that when the Loki says, "Well, what was your Nexus moment to the kid?"
Oh yes,
I killed Thor.
I killed brother.
Yeah, a good thought. Like, and that rattles him. You can tell
like,
that rattles Loki. Yeah, absolutely. But it's really great because this is where they are, we should say. And obviously, if you're watching the show, you know exactly what we're talking about. This is the void. When they get what we thought killed, disintegrated, no, they get sent to. This is the dumping ground of the timeline.
Yep.
So everything they don't like, boom, they get sent there.
Dumped there.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, kind of what amazing visuals when you've got like a UFO next to a ship, like an old, pirate ship or something. So, hey, did you notice those big giant heads in the ground?
Heads in the ground in which?
Yeah, like statues. The big statues. I mean, there's that helmet there. Did you say Yellow Jacket's helmet?
Yeah, Yellow Jacket's helmet.
Yeah. And it's big, though. It's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a giant. Yeah. But there are statue heads as well. I couldn't make out what characters they were. I was just asking.
Okay.
But, they quickly go to the kids' little kind of hangout, I suppose. The kids got this little bunker.
His kingdom. It's his kingdom.
Yeah, where they're all kind of hanging out together. It seems to be their safe space, I would say, in this crazy
away from Eliath, who protects, I guess, this.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. But we go back to, and this gets pretty intense. This scene when they go back, they cut back to Sylvie and the judge, and the judge is using the little time thing to go through the files. Try to find out the beginning of the universe and
stolen.
It's saying to her, we've got a starship that can actually fly us past that point of void, and that. But she's stalling. That's essentially what she's stalling. Yeah. And then you see the betrayal straight away. You know what I mean? Which is an interesting betrayal because they both want the same thing, Rick. They both want to know who's behind it. It all, and for different reasons.
Different reasons. That's correct. Yeah.
But they're both wanting the same thing. So it's unfortunate that they have to kind of battle each other, but whatever. I didn't like that judge character anyway. I thought she was dodgy from the beginning, to be honest with you. And I think there's still more to her to come.
Yeah.
But back to that that scene in the bunker with the alligator and that. I love the pouring the wine into the alligator, them hanging out. The fact that Richard E. Grant is just so bravely wearing the old Loki costume.
Yeah, so good.
But owning it in every frame of his episode. He's just the best thing about it. It's absolutely fantastic.
100%.
But it's great. We get all their kind of backstories. We get these little alternative, histories of some of these different Lokis.
How they ended up there.
Yeah, how they ended up there, which I thought was like really, really well done, And again, just driven by Richard E. Grant's performance, just absolutely fantastic. So, but we soon realised that Sylvie, they go back to that judge scene, and they've got her cornered, and basically she kills herself. Right? I'm just going to get
she prunes herself.
She thinks she's killing herself, but she's actually taken herself to the same place Loki is.
She wants to find out where Loki is. Because she was told once they get pruned, they don't actually die. They go to this different place.
Now, straight away when she comes in, and we'd seen some of the cloud before, but we come face to face. And this is where I wanted to talk about the cloud, right? She comes out in this purple cloud. Now, the purple cloud has got a name. Do you know what it is, Rick?
Eliath.
Now, if you've done any sort of research, and I didn't know Eliath, but, at the end of the episode, I do my thing. I Google, is Eliath a thing? Yes. Oh, hell yes, Elias is a thing.
He has connections.
He has connections, which we'll talk about a bit more closer to the end, right? To the end.
Yes.
We'll kind of talk about it a bit more.
We will.
But, he's actually quite significant in certainly story arcs in the Marvel comic book universe. So, legit villain, and it makes for good chase scenes. Pretty intense. She's trying to get away from from this from Goliath, and Morbius turns up a little old pizza truck.
Yeah, the pizza
picks her up, and they're on the run. Yeah, awesome. Which is crazy. So while that's happening, Loki decides to, after a big speech trying to recruit the troops, he decides he's going to bail. He's out of there. Opens the hatch, and there's President Loki with all these. Yeah. So we get this great scene, this fantastic scene.
That was awesome.
Where President Loki's coming in. You know, a couple of them have betrayed each other. I don't need to get into that. But, yeah, President Loki's going, I'm the man. And, mate, and then, obviously, the little alligator.
Alligator Loki.
Jumps up. Mate, awesome. Starts attacking Loki. Yeah.
Takes his hand off.
Yeah, which is pretty great. So... and there's this, great comical kind of barroom fight scene, for lack of a better term. And obviously the main Lokis who we were introduced to, they all sneak away. Yeah, they kind of get away in a very kind of like I said, while everyone's fighting in the bar, they're kind of crawling out of there, which is great. And they're going to go and help Loki, basically, who's come to the decision that he's going to kill Goliath. Yeah. He wants to kill it. He doesn't know how. He's going to go and kill it. So you've got alligator Loki, you've got future Loki, kid Loki, and Loki heading towards going to nail this guy, to get rid of Goliath. Which is pretty ballsy thing.
Pretty crazy,
But isn't it great when that battleship from World War II just drops?
Oh, it just drops in
as they're overlooking the cloud, and we get a sense of what this cloud is capable of, what Goliath is capable of, and it's pretty horrific what he does. I mean, he completely kills everyone on that battleship in a moment. It's pretty kind of intense stuff. So we know the power of it, and that rattles Loki because they're like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? How the hell am I going to kill this thing?
Yeah, because they
saw anywhere near it's just going to wipe it
out. They saw the ship offloading the rockets, the missiles, did nothing, and then all of a sudden just took them, killed them.
Yeah, so, and here's where the episode gets a little bit like, you could have probably written that a bit better, was the fact as they happened to be on a cliff looking out and figuring out how we're going to kill this, the car, which would have had no indication where Loki was at any point in this void, happens to rock up.
Yes, but didn't they say that this is the key because she had that moment with Goliath? She could actually
that's a different thing. What I'm talking about is they just happened to be at the end of a cliff looking over,
but
and the car just pulls up behind them.
Yeah, but they were chasing Goliath. They go, we need to go towards
but you're
Goliath.
In a giant like the fact to be right behind them when you've got a 360-degree situation just seemed a little bit convenient. But you get over it fairly quick. But now what you're talking about, and I do want to address that as we get later to that. Because that's pretty key to this whole thing, and I avoided talking about it when she initially arrives because that's her first moment. And I suppose as we're talking about the link where when she first comes out of appears in the void, she makes a connection with Goliath and has this flash. And for her, that was, that's the thing. She goes, well, that's her way to go for it. Because when they do catch up and get together, oh my God, you're safe. Yeah, how are you? Da, da, da. He goes, well, I was going to go and kill her. That's his plan. She's like, really? She's, figured out that if she maybe gets close enough, she can enchant it. This is pretty huge.
We got a question, Jay.
Yeah, what's the question?
From Sal. How are you, Sal?
Yes, I am, but I don't think he's in Loki. I don't think he's in this.
So there you go.
Excuse me.
But so after that,
we after that we have, it's where the episode goes a little bit flat for me, dude. Goes a little bit flat for me because we have a half decent scene where, and I think an important scene where we go to the main C20. Was it C20? We got that wrong.
Oh,
B-15 or something?
Not C-20 is the other one. Yeah, the one that,
B-15?
B-15, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
the
whatever.
One that got captured.
The one that's got captured. There's a great scene between her and the judge where, it is pretty well spelt out that they're both wanting the same thing. The difference is the judge wants it, but Sylvie needs it.
It needs it.
So she's always going to have that advantage. So it's a nice little scene, but we get the next one, which I don't know if I can deal with so well. It's a great little scene. We got Mobius, Richard E. Grant, like future Loki and Kid Loki, all having that conversation about the different Lokis and what he's going to do afterwards. The problem I really have is with Loki and Sylvie, that relationship. Why does it have to go into that realm? And they danced the line. They didn't kiss, which was good, but there's certainly a sexual attraction connotation to that. That, like, what are they trying to get at? Are they trying to, I get this show's about Loki learning to love himself, but
you just reckon
we need.
We knew it was going to lead to that. It's been happening.
Does it need to, though? That's the problem. Does it need to? Isn't it? The intimacy of the relationship good enough based just having those two be friends? The fact that they're alluding that there may be some sexual tension in the air seems to be.
Well, he's never had anyone really,
too overtly on the it's too overt, not in a offensive way, but a lazy screenwriting type of way. I mean, you can do that far more subtle, powerful way than literally having them share a blanket, dude. It's basically saying Loki wants to fuck Sylvie, meaning he wants to fuck himself. So it's about self-love, masturbation, all that kind of thing. And we get it. Those connotations are there. But when you're doing things like that, I think it's too overt. I think it's lazy. That's what I think it is.
Okay.
So that's my only little pick at that is the sexual politics. Well, that's my problem with this series. It's the sexual politics at play. Because I don't know. Not that I have an issue with it. I'm not conservative. I don't really have an opinion on that side of it. It's more like I think there's that's part of him, and we get that. But there's so much more interesting stuff to explore with this character that you need to go down there. But anyway, that's the only.
Hopefully, that's the end of it.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
but I just don't want to see them kiss at the end of the series. I think that's a cop out. I think that's offensive to the characters. I think it's offensive to the fan base. It's happening like that. I think we deserve something a bit more intellectual, and powerful than that.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me being an old fuddy-duddy, mate. Who knows? But the rest of it is great. Once we get over that scene, which is really slow anyway, we're straight into action. We're straight into action, mate. We're going for it at this point. There's a plan. Owen Wilson, Mobius is out. He's going back to the TVA. He's going to burn that shit down. That's what he said.
What's the plan?
That's what he's going to do. So this is cool. We've got characters now with purpose, glorious purpose. And that's all going to happen. And we got Loki who declares that he's going to hang around with Sylvie because he wants to bang himself. And then the characters kind of set up. And I thought, okay, this is where the episode cuts out, right, Rick? This is where the episode ends.
No.
Does not. No. It keeps going. And what is a fucking cool action scene. Really cool action scene between these two and Goliath. And most importantly, future Loki manifesting Asgard. He's sensational. He does that just to be a decoy. Yeah. So those two can make the connection.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the second thing I had a problem with the episode. The fact that Loki has never manifested that power that Sylvie has.
Yeah.
Right? But Sylvie literally says, you've had the power all along.
We're all the same. We're the same.
In the head.
We're the same.
We're essentially the same. the powers within you. That old trope, Rick. That was like, a little bit.
So does that mean she can do what he does?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, they can all do the same shit.
They can all do the same shit.
So there's no kind of difference. So, but besides that, what a great action scene. Well, it's just a fabulous action scene, you know. Richard E. Grant sacrificing himself in such a spectacular way, being consumed by a life was so friggin' cool, hey?
And then you just see the helmet at the end. So good.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, the fact and what I'm leading to and I'm excited about, and this is what we talked about, is Elias as a character. When I was doing my reading up, Rick, I found out that he, and I'm going to quote this, so I'm going to sound like I'm reading something. I'm reading something. All right. So it says here, allegedly, this is Elias, the first being to free itself from the time stream. Elias grew in power, becoming the supreme time being over all realities, from the dawn of life on Earth to the edge of Kang the Conqueror's dominion.
Correct.
Kang the Conqueror's dominion. A temporal barrier blocked Elias from entering Kang's realm, Chronopolis, and conquering all the time periods. So obviously, this is what it's leading to. I think. Are they going to do it? Are we getting the introduction to one of the big villains who we know is the big bad villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? We know that. That's been public knowledge. Marvel come out and said it. But are they really going to introduce him? Because then you get that visual when they do connect with Elias, right? And she enchants it and it disappears. We get to see this castle, right? It's a castle with this weird kind of torch thing going up and up. And in the background of that, it does remind you of the it does remind you a bit of Ant-Man and the Wasp when they were in the quantum realm.
Yeah, I said this.
It's got that little bit of a background to it. You know what I mean? So
I think it is.
What do you think, Rick? What do you think?
No, I think I said this last time. I said because Kang Conqueror is part of it, even the statue.
Did you do any research? Did you do any research?
Well, we've been tricked before though, Jace. This is the beauty of Marvel. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we had these theories with WandaVision and we all went in these different ways, and then some are right, some are wrong. But I mean, Renslayer has had connections in the comics with Kang as well, the Conqueror. Same with Elias. All the signs are pointing in that direction. But
I know you're saying before we've been let down, right? But we haven't had overt imagery like they're selling us now. Like they're literally having Elias, which they name, in front of something, protecting something.
That's right.
Right? Now, it wasn't protecting in the comic book version, but we still have those order of, like, they're either completely saying that's not Chronopolis, right? Right? They're going to say, if they say that, then they're completely going right term with this. But if you are putting bets down on sports bet at this weekend, mate, you'd put it down that Kang the Conqueror is behind all of this.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
Now, oh my God, imagine if they did do that, Rick. The faith that shows in the Disney streaming shows to educate the wider global audience is pretty huge. Because if you're going to introduce a supervillain like that, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Slowly introduce it.
Unbelievable. But that was the episode. You know, I mean, we didn't go into every detail, but that was the episode. It was pretty damn cool. Yeah, like I said, I rubbed up against a couple of those little issues, which are more bigger issues for me in the way of where I think this show is a little bit on the woke side in some aspects, but like still really great. And the way they've gone and the deep cuts they've made into the comic book series with Loki and everything else has just been absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for next week.
Next week, we know the direction it's going to go. It's that last opening shot. No post-credit scene, which was I thought they would have done something, but no.
No, Rick, I've got this theory, mate. I'm saying this to Josh tonight. I only think they do it once a series, and usually in the 4th episode, because I think that's what they did in WandaVision. Was the 8th episode? They did it once in WandaVision, and then they did it once in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and now they've done it once here. Yeah, so I don't think and that's we will only get. We're not going to get any more now because the last episode next week. Yeah, but brilliant. Can't wait to next week.
It is all on next week, so we will see.
Yeah. Now before we go, I know Sal asked us about Don the Dragon Wilson earlier, but he's put a couple other things up which I'm happy to address right now. So you're going to make them appear? Yes, I did. We did. I did quite a bit about the Sal. I actually recorded a video 2 days when I heard it. I actually recorded a video, but I hadn't released it. But I'm happy to say now, yes, rest in peace, Richard Donner. Well, I think, people don't understand the impact that guy had on popular culture from the mid-70s all the way to probably the early 90s. This guy was involved in some of the biggest genre-defining films that we've seen. We all know Spielberg. We know Nolan, Christopher Nolan. We know all the big directors, we know those names. But, mate, when Richard Donner, people may not realize what kind of films he'd done. He started off this guy had a long history making some of the best TV shows for their time in the 60s. The biggest shows from Gilligan's Island to everything. Like he was directed some of the biggest stuff. I had his filmography up. I could read through it. But really, he started, for me, the first time I knew him was 1976, The Omen. Now, that movie for a time terrified us. That was a scary movie at that time, and certainly defined that genre, that type of horror film, for at least a decade. It was the leading movie in the way of chilling type of demonic kind of films. And then he pumps out Superman in 1978, which is literally the reason we're talking about Loki today. Ties back to Superman the movie. If that film had been a failure, we would never have got Batman, and we would never have gotten Spider-Man, and we wouldn't have gotten Iron Man and the Avengers and everything else. So that he defines it that, and then he comes out with films like The Goonies. The Goonies, like most of Generation X's favorite childhood films.
The Goonies.
Just huge for its time. So, and defines that genre of film. The kids getting together and getting on adventure. So many people tried to emulate it. And then he comes out with Lethal Weapon, dude. And defines the action series. Brings Mel Gibson to the global stage. Most directors, if they had one of those films, would have been like, oh, I'm happy. That's it. But this guy, and I've only named a few of them. there's lots of films. Lethal Weapon turned into a full-film franchise. He did films like Conspiracy Theory, Maverick, which I loved as well. Look, there's a ton of films that he did do,
Lady Hawk.
Lady Hawk, and there was something else before Lady Hawk as well.
The Toy.
The Toy, of course, Richard Pryor. Absolutely wonderful film. The guy was an absolute legend. He was certainly going to be sorely missed. He didn't have a great end of his career. Sorry?
No.
Scrooged. Assassins with Stallone.
You see,
yeah. So by the 2000s, it kind of petered out. But what an incredible career! What an incredible director! And he was known in the industry as generally a nice guy too. A pleasure to work with. So no, he is a great loss. I'm glad you brought it up tonight, Sal. Like I said, I recorded a video about it. I just didn't get a chance to release it. So no, at least I get to say something now. So thanks for that bringing up. I know it's really got nothing to do with Loki, but in a way, like I said, the fact that he corrected Superman kind of does tie back to Loki in a very thin thread, but it's there. So either way, that's it for the Loki after show of episode 5. We thank you guys for watching. We got a big week next week, guys. We get the finale hitting us. who knows where this direction this is going to go. I can't wait to see it. I know you guys can't too. So stay tuned next Wednesday, same time, 7:30 here in Adelaide, Australia. Just look up, on your timeline, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you next week, guys. We are going to get, unless you had anything else to add, Rick?
No, this week, we've got a big weekend this weekend. So, yeah, we're off.
Oh, yes,
movies.
Black Widow. Black Widow, of course. And then we'll do a review on that.
Yeah, so check that out, guys, as well. But anyway, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
We'll see you guys next week. See you guys.